Hey folks, I haven't really posted in a while, and assuming I get to my next, paycheck, and it's, sizable enough, obviously, either way, I'm gonna do a video, for that whole Journey Out of Debt playlist I've been putting together, which I restarted, or started adding to, um, but let me see, it's Monday, what is it, is it the 3rd? I think it's the 3rd of February. Just parked my car after work. Um, Gonna have to head, in, and I got a couple assignments, to do tonight. Nothing too big, I don't think, but um, I guess I'm kind of just sitting with my emotions right now because, end of last week with the job, my supervisor, stated to me, I guess she thought I wasn't working fast enough. And I kind of voiced some of my concerns to a couple of coworkers, and one of them who seemed to kind of be sort of a nicer guy, so to speak. He was kind of giving me some suggestions on how to do that. But this is one of those jobs where it's a production job. It's the kind of thing I was trying to get out of. It's not in biotech, different field, but it's way more blue collar, which nothing to say, which isn't to say that that's like a necessarily bad thing, but there's the expression, not my cup of tea. And a lot of my coworkers, like, I don't know. I try not to judge people too much, but I kind of see them as being the kinds of folks that I would have become if I hadn't gotten out of my hometown and finished my engineering degree and that sort of deal. Like, I would have become that, type where it's like, oh, this person's got baby mama drama, or they, they're just all about, sex, and that's all they really have. And I don't know, if this is, you're around people enough times, you have enough different conversations, they get sort of a feel for you, you get a feel for them. Maybe they determine that they don't necessarily like gel with you as well. Maybe it's a thing of personalities, lifestyle, whatnot, but I don't know if they're just trying to make me uncomfortable or just still trying to feel me out about things. But like, for instance, today one of the guys who's actually he's my age, and he's got the whole baby mama drama going on in his life, but he brings up the topic of, basically like a group of them getting together and having, relations with multiple women all together. And I'm, thinking, he's asking me if, I wanted to be involved in that. And I was like, I started chuckling because I'm thinking like, wait, are you seriously joking? Because like, the last place, most of the places I've worked at, like, you didn't talk about stuff like that. That was very much like, if you want to get sitting in front of HR, get set up in front of HR, like, you talk about that sort of stuff, and you'll be out, on your on your muffin, so to speak, in a split second if you start talking about that kind of stuff. But he was serious apparently, and I was still like, no, I tried to like play it off like, oh no, I'm not into that stuff for a variety of reasons, but that, and the fact that like I'm about halfway through the probationary period, and getting indications I'm getting, I'm trying to step up my productivity and doing this and doing that, but like, for a time there, I kind of tried to look at this job. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get, mechanical assembly experience, which I am getting. And if I can do that long enough, then I can sell that, for the experience to get into something that will maybe lead to a manufacturing engineering job or something of that nature. But, I'm once again back at the crossroads of, I need a job and I need to keep the job just to make enough money. And I've been doing like crazy overtime. Whatever overtime they have, I take. I've been going at that, trying to do that, not just because it makes me money, but because it's like, okay, I'm doing extra work. Maybe I'm slow on one day, but I'm fast on the other. And, it kind of works out in a certain way. And maybe if I do that enough, they'll keep me, and I'll have made the money to pay off, credit card bills and, student loans, and, gotten the whole wealth building thing going again, buying more precious metals or putting money in my retirement account or something of that nature. And obviously, given that I'm like, I know in my heart, assuming that everything that I've done so far gives me this, like, shoe-in opportunity to go to graduate school, like, to have money coming in that would pay for that, so I wouldn't have to go back into more student loan debt. It's all those sorts of things, but I'm like, I'm not looking at this, much more than just, or at least I'm trying not to look at it much more than just, I need a job to make money so I can keep a roof over my head. And, this whole deal with like a probate court settlement, trying to keep my grandparents' house and all these other things, like, that, okay, if I have that as my income, I can use that, for getting a mortgage and that sort of deal. But and trying to explain my mentality on that to certain people in my family, or, and not necessarily my immediate family, but, relatives, it's kind of frustrating. But, the whole trying to keep my grandparents' house business. But, yeah, that's just how I'm looking at it. And, while I'm employed there, while there's overtime opportunity, I'm taking it, I'm going for it. And, I'm trying not to look at it like, oh, I'm going to earn my way to a promotion. It's more like just being enough of an asset that they keep me around, even if I'm not the best asset, that I'm still an asset enough that, oh, if it hadn't been for him coming in on the weekends, this wouldn't have gotten done, or we wouldn't have found out about this problem or this issue, or so, these things wouldn't have been, fixed or settled, or whatever the case may be. Just enough so I can get through 6 months to a year of being employed here and be, relatively safe, relatively sound, and then I can really get on to what I really want to do. And, a lot of my coworkers, well, not a lot of them, some of them, who I've talked to more than, than others, they have, once they found, where I was working before, and that's their deal, oh, trying to push me to go back towards that, or you should apply for this, you have this degree, apply for that, blah, blah, blah. And, I have to try in those times and explain to them that, it's not just like, okay, have this degree and you got this job, or, have worked in the biotech, let's say, for X number of years, okay, that's good enough. It's the whole, oh, relevant experience this, and, how cheap are you compared to, somebody coming in on a work visa, or did you go to the right school that you're, you can be buddy with, like, the hiring manager, the person who's put in charge of hiring, which I don't know if there's literally a title hiring manager. It's more like, okay, the manager for team X that happens to be hiring for position Y, and that person is person Z, and therefore they are acting as the hiring manager in this situation. But I have gotten some calls from recruiters, and I should still be talking to them. I shouldn't get too comfortable. Like I said, I'm still gonna do the crazy overtime. I'm taking classes, and I like I said a bit earlier, I have some homework that's due tonight, some assignments. Got to get that stuff knocked out. And my heart's really in that, because, like, I don't know how to put it into words, but I look at that as my only way out from under, to have the kind of life that I really want for myself, where I would be happy, like, I'm on NoFap again, and I think I'm on day 52 of this streak, and as much as I can say that when I'm not fapping, you know, my life is way more put together. I got things more on point, and when I'm doing that, the more and more of that I do, that it's sort of an indication that my life is spinning out of control, that I'm not handling things well, or things are overwhelming me, or I'm under way too much pressure, or what have you. But the ultimate point is, like, I've been saying this, like, I ultimately, what would make me happy would be the same thing that would make a lot of guys happy. Have the wife that actually wants you, and yeah, you do it with her, and you have kids as a result, by and large. And that's not anything that's a huge, like, hurdle or hang up you gotta climb over or break through, to have that, to be able to afford that, to be able to afford to have, like, an actual, like, house and kids and a career that's fulfilling, where you're actually making a difference, not just feeling that you are, but you are actually making a difference. And like, all the milestones you would think of, that would be, a peak life, and I don't see myself getting that, doing some, make X number of widgets per day, blue collar type job, and where the boss is like, well, you made X widgets, but we need you to make X plus 500 widgets, and you couldn't reach that, so therefore, that's not good enough, and you might get stifled, or might get, fired, or laid off, or let go, or whatever. Like, that kind of job, unless you make it to senior level technician, or you make it to, you know, lead or supervisor or something like that, where you got to play the office politics, or you make it up to director of manufacturing, or whatever the title is in the company, like, you're not going to be making enough to really, do that. It's just not sustainable, and it sucks, but that's just like how it is. It's like, whatever that number is for whatever area of the country or the world you're living in, like, you have to get above that threshold. And that's just to have the kind of life where, like, you're maybe not happy, maybe not content, but where you're not too much on one end of that spectrum of contentment versus discontentment. Where you're actually, like, functioning and moving forward and making progress, and gaining ground, not losing ground, and that sort of deal. And all the stuff I'm doing right now is just kind of like trying to hold the line long enough. I know I'm not really gonna gel with these guys. I don't got no baby mama drama. I don't got no kids. I'm, just waiting till marriage. Very trad con, middle class ish, upper middle class ish, type of person who, reads books for pleasure, and for, as well as for education and information, and I used to fence, and I've traveled, to multiple countries, and some of that is a function of, like, a certain amount of socioeconomic privilege that I've had, because of, how well my parents did. I'm not saying that, in the sense of being superior or inferior or anything of that nature, but just, that's like, that's my nature, and, some things are my cup of tea, some things are not my cup of tea, and I know I'm not really gonna gel with them to that extent. Like, I wouldn't want to be, I honestly wouldn't want to be friends with my coworkers outside of work. Um, it's kind of like, trying to put this in a very, nice sounding way, but it's kind of like, if you're talking to some girl, and if you were to remove her physical attractiveness, let's say, in your opinion, she has a nice physical appearance, that you would want to therefore do certain things with her. Now, if you were to remove that from the picture, and just, make her some, in your mind, just some person you're talking to, like, if at that point, there's really nothing there to make you want to talk to her. And that kind of like maybe shows you that maybe she's not the one for you, you're not the one for her. It's a similar thing with, my coworkers, where it's like, okay, if it wasn't for this job, like, I would not have met any of these people. I would not have met any of them. I would not have known any of them. Um, you know, and that's okay. As long as that doesn't get in the way of me, keeping the job as long as I need to. Um, making enough money to take care of things. Um, but yeah, I'm just like, I'm in that kind of state of mind where I'm thinking like, okay, you know, ABL, always be looking. I had to set some time aside each day, for things, not just, I had to set aside time for the classes. I got to set aside time for doing some exercise, physical exercise. I have to obviously have not time for sleep. I got to have time for eating and, all that self-care stuff, showering and whatnot. But I always have to have time for just, applying for jobs, because even if you got a job, particularly in this job market, like it's not like, okay, rest on your laurels. It's like, okay, yeah, do what you got to do to keep the job, to make the money, and get as much money as you can, because when it comes to anything corporate, they're not your friends. You could do the objectively best job ever at your job, but once the numbers don't work out in your favor, they'll get rid of you. And it's nothing personal. It may feel like it, and I know it will definitely feel like it if it happens to me, because obviously you want to go and think to yourself, like, what did I do? Did I do something? Like, why don't they like me enough to keep me around? Or oh no, now I gotta go back to looking for a job now, and all these things hanging on this. Like this is not just it's honestly not just about supporting myself. It's about like my grandparents, house, and being able to take out a mortgage on that, and what that represents to me, which I could do a whole nother video on. And it gets really into some deeply emotional things, where it's like, it's the whole, like, two people look at the same thing, and for one person, they see one thing, another person sees another thing. Like, somebody who's not from my family looks at my grandparents' house and sees, oh, this is worth how many, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, as a stack of cash to them. They got their hands on that. They'd, turn around and flip it. They tear everything up inside and try and put in whatever, built up stuff they could to make it, oh, I'm going to raise the property value, and then I'm going to sell it for an extra, 50 or 100 or whatever, okay, and oh, that'll be more money for me, even after taxes. But I look at that and I see, my grandparents' home and memories I have, and, like something about trying to keep my family and, those people and their effects and their, everything around, and trying to stop that from breaking down, like seeing it as like almost like a battleground against like the forces of entropy and chaos and degradation, and deviancy that I see in the world. And like, I can really wax philosophical and get super emotional about it, but having this job and keeping it is about more than just supporting myself. Like, yeah, it is, in the most immediate sense. Like, if I had to pay bills, which I do, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna pay off, these credit cards first. That's what I'm gonna take care of first, and then I'll start taking care of, student loans, and then after that, it's, okay, do I owe money to my dad or to somebody else? Yeah, I do. Okay, here, I'm gonna pay that off, and then it's, it's like rings of financial defense, if you will. But really, the reason I would go to work and work so hard, and maybe this is just like who I am as a person, but I need something bigger than that. That's why graduate school is such a thing to me. It's like, yeah, it's something that would open up a huge door to a bunch of really high paying jobs, and an actual, not just a job, but actually a career. But it's it would allow me to do actual meaningful, impactful work where I would like be excited to get up every day to go to work or to go into the lab or what have you, you know. Similar to kind of how I felt at the last job where I was laid off from, where, you know, if they had, you know, just said, hey, you want to stay here for another year or two, I'd be like, sure thing, I'll stay here for another year or two. I might have been demoralized in certain areas of, you know, career advancement, but hey, if I can just do this job and crank out the bucks and do some interesting work, I'll do that, you know. But yeah, you know, that would be a big door opening to that sort of stuff, to get into graduate school, and then the career, and you know what I could do with all of that, you know. And I guess I gotta compartmentalize is what I'm saying, you know. I gotta compartmentalize and just do things the best I can, but always be looking, because you know the numbers might work out in your favor today or this week or this pay period or this month, but next month they could turn around and say, you know, numbers aren't working out, we got to cut you from the team. And it could be that you literally didn't perform, you know, you were not picking things up fast enough, or you did pick things up fast enough but you didn't do them fast enough, or it could be that, you know, they were looking for some VC money, you know, and that didn't come through because the company I'm working at right now is a startup, and you know that could happen. And you know, either way, it's not something that I want to have just drop out of nowhere on me where I don't have any other options, you know. Anyways, I've rambled on for long enough. It's coming up on 22 minutes, and I got stuff to do, as I've repeatedly said. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you folks around. I'm gonna upload this when I get into my room, start uploading it. Hopefully it doesn't, you know, take forever, but see you folks around. Thanks for watching, thanks for the support, and I'm gonna finally get like some sort of subscription thing set up on Patreon, probably just $5 a month, you know, sort of a monthly donation for the sake of donation. And if anybody has any ideas about what I can do, you know, it's actually not, again, not creepy, weird, illegal, immoral, unethical, you know, that sort of deal, that I can do that would, you know, sort of justify creating other tiers or having an actual, you know, subscription beyond people just like, you know, hey, here's $5 a month, you know, because I like your content. Anyways, see you on the flip side. Take care. Bye-bye.